Hi everyone. I'm just here to vent and maybe get some advice. A few months ago, I found out that my boyfriend of 5 years had a few week-long affair with our coworker. They didn't have sex, but they did sext, including photos, kiss twice, and go on 3 dates. When I found out, I broke up with him and I was absolutely devastated. I have never felt so terrible in my entire life. I truly felt like I was going to die at any moment. I really truly love my boyfriend with my whole heart. I knew we had some issues, but I genuinely believed that he loved me and that we were going to get married. So I decided that since they never had sex, I could try to forgive him. We've had many long talks about how to build trust. I demanded an open phone policy and that he start therapy, which he did. Overall, I really felt like he was putting in a lot of effort to fix our relationship and build trust with me again. We were communicating well and he was being very patient with my hypersensitive emotions. We also planned to start couples therapy in December, after he returns from a month-long work trip overseas. In general, I was feeling very happy with the way things were going and genuinely believed that we could get back to normal in time. About a week ago, I randomly asked him if he still had any nude photos of his previous girlfriends on his computer. He said no, that all the photos he ever had were only on his phone and that he deleted them all many years ago. This is the same thing he said when I asked him this question early on in our relationship, so I dropped it. This morning, he left his computer open and I decided to take a look, not expecting to find anything. But of course I was wrong. In a folder within a folder within a folder, I found 7 other folders filled with nudes from me and all his ex-girlfriends, including photos and videos of me that he promised to delete when I broke up with him for cheating. The timestamps on all the photos show that they were taken years ago, before our relationship, with the exception of one girl that shows they were taken in 2021. He swears he doesn't know why it says that and that those photos were taken prior to our relationship, but might show the time they were transferred from his old computer to this one. There were no photos of our coworker that I saw, thank God. I immediately deleted all of them. His dad is in town this week, so we aren't able to talk about this more until tonight. I'm just so heartbroken and confused. I know I should probably break up with him, but that feels impossible. Maybe I just shouldn't have looked. I love him so much and I don't want to be without him. I know I sound pathetic. I don't want to continue to accept being treated like this, but I don't know how to move forward. If this were happening to any of my friends, I would tell them to run far away and never look back, but it feels so much less clear when it is happening to me. We have 2 cats and we work for the same company, so, aside from the fact that I'm in love with him and don't actually want to leave him, I feel very stuck. Sorry for the very long post. Thanks for reading if you got this far. All of my good friends are also our coworkers, so I can't really talk to them about this. So I used to be a manager for a fast food joint. That's where I first meet Jenny. At first, she was shy, and as a 5-foot guy, it was nice to finally be taller than someone. She was around 4 feet 10 inches. Now, I didn't initiate this friendship, but she slowly started talking more to me with each day we worked together. We had the same weird vibe and eventually we became close friends, so much so that people started calling us a couple. Or that we would eventually marry. Those comments were meant as jokes. But unfortunately, due to past experiences, I have trouble not romanticing friendship. So this led to a lot of self-destructive thinking that all boiled over the span of 2 weeks. Anyways, I got a job offer. That was for a job in a different industry. Obviously, I told her that. But honestly, her reaction to the news put me off. Her initial reaction was, pleading face, please don't leave me, I won't have anyone. It wasn't the fact that she wanted me to stay. It was the fact that she wasn't happy for me. As we used to have daily conversation on how we hated our jobs and how we both need something better. Also, those words hurt me on a different level. As she had a boyfriend, and it just doesn't feel like she should be saying that to guys who aren't her significant other. Maybe it was jealousy or frustration that I was just a friend and nothing more. Which built more frustration within myself. I just felt defeated. Why did I have to develop feeling for this adorable little brown girl pensive face? Anyways, as I was a manager, I felt obligated to write out my 2 weeks. So consequently, I put myself in a position where I was starting a new job that was 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and worked my original job from 6 p.m. till 12 a.m. So all the free time I had was only on sleeping. Now I'm not justifying myself, but I'm including this as way to see my perspective. So I'm a proud stoner and been smoking myself to sleep for years now. But I only do it in safety of my home and when I have time to ride out the high. So I unfortunately went sober for those 2 weeks. The consequence of this was that my repressed emotions came flooding out like a river. I got frustrated easily, and basically my emotions were amplified 10x over. Anyways, one of those days she got too friendly. I came into work and I was already teared from working my first job. And she greeted me with a hug, or at least tried. As I rejected it. I have really strong boundaries on hugs. I don't want them. I had expressed to her that. But she always pushed that specific boundary by walking up to me with arms wide open. It's cute, but it just feels wrong to accept her hugs. And I rejected every single hug she offers, even though I wanted to hold her tightly. Again, in those moments, I would think back to her BF. And imagine him the same room. And if I would do that if he was there. Anyways, back to the story. Now it wasn't the hug that made me mad that day. She does this thing where she scoots herself right next to me and look me in the eyes. Most of the time I find this adorable, but I was tired of fighting off my feelings, and that just made me mad. Like it just didn't seem like something someone in a relationship should do. But I bit my tongue. And the next time we worked together, I told her how I felt. I told her that sometimes her action felt more romantic than friendly. And in all honesty, it's one of the hardest conversations I've had. On the one hand I tell how I felt and our friendship ends, and on the other, I don't tell her and built resentment. Now I was vague and only told her how it made me feel and how I didn't want to feel that way. That I genuinely liked our friendship and that I wish that she respected my boundaries in order to continue our friendship. And she didn't say much, except we can still be friends, and once you leave it can just fade gradually. I didn't say no to that, but I also didn't say anything. I basically ignored that comment. Well, for the last week, we basically went back to the beginning. I believe that she didn't know how to act around me, and I was in the same boat. We basically just ignored each other. On my last days, she told me that she hoped to see me again and that she will be in contact. I'm a dick, so I was like, haha, yeah, sure, same. Now here's the problem I'm having. It's been around 2 months now. The first time we talked was about a month after my last day. I messaged her first saying that I missed her. And she said the same, and we exchanged a few messages till she left me on read. I took that as it was a sign that she didn't want to talk to me back. I knew in that moment that our friendship had basically ended. She had finally faded our friendship into oblivion. I accepted that. But then about a week ago she texted me and just asked me if I was going to do anything on Halloween. I said no, and she took a solid day to reply. Once she did, she told me that she was working on Halloween and that I should visit her. And I took about 2 days to reply. I know it was dumb, but I was just so anxious, because I was going for say no. Because why would I go back to my old job? And secondly, because I just felt like I wouldn't get a reply back. Well, I guess I manifest it. Because she never replied back. Well, actually she left me on read. We used to talk constantly, around 5 days of the week. And these were a long conversation. And just sending TikToks and stuff. But for the last 2 months, we barely even had one conversation. Those 2 interactions felt more like small talk. So I'm just confused. In my head, I feel as if she already ended our friendship, and that she's just being nice and pretending. As to not hurt my feelings. Looking back now, I can honestly say that she meant the world. I genuinely cared for her. And I still do, but it's not fair to either of us, right? Yeah, so how do I move on? A little under 4 years ago I, now, F24, was in a relationship with this dude, now, M26. We knew each other for a while before we got together since we kind of belonged to the same friend group, though I was more of an outlier. I reached out to him a while after the friend group dissolved and we kind of hit it off and started dating. It went well for a while until I went through sort of a rough patch, mentally, and I eventually broke it off around 6 months in. It took me being single for 3 years to get my mental stuff sorted out, and I only started dating again a little under a year ago. While he crossed my mind from time to time, I didn't really consider reaching out since it just didn't seem fair, and I figured he would have moved on by now anyways. Until a few weeks ago when I basically saw him again, by chance, for the first time since it ended. It was a pretty hard hit and weird splurge of all sorts of emotions. We didn't really talk or anything, just kind of awkwardly stared at each other. From a distance, I tried to smile, but I don't think it worked out that way tbh. Anyways, I just kept thinking of the encounter for the next days until I finally gave in and texted him. We've been talking since, have met up a couple of times, and it's been going pretty good. I'm trying to take things slow, just sort of get to know each other again and better until we can talk about whether or not we might want to try again, etc. So far so good. Now here's the issue. I know he's had, at the very least, sexual encounters, not sure if romantic as well, during these past years. Which obviously isn't an issue pers. The issue is that I know 2 of the people he was involved with, all people who used to be linked to that friend circle, though not specifically close friends of mine. Reasons not to date within your own circle even if it doesn't exist anymore, and unfortunately word just kind of gets around even if you don't want to hear about it. So yeah, I know he's had sex and possibly more with at least those 2 girls, and it's just kind of rubbing me in a weird way. It doesn't really help that he appears to have made some experiences, kink-wise, that he didn't have before, or wasn't willing to try before, so I know they happened during our time apart. And my brain just automatically puts one of those girls' faces on the experiences, and that's just not a cool feeling. I don't think I would mind if I didn't know about it at all, or if it was random strangers, but this way it just feels uncomfortable. My current plan is to wait until things are a bit clearer between us and then initiate a conversation, and kind of talk about the nature of the relationships he had with them, only sexual or feelings involved, why things ended and what the situation is now. Just kind of for my own peace of mind, I guess. This is a very specific situation, so I don't think I'll find people with advice from similar situations, but general advice on how to best handle my feelings, talk to him about it, if I should even talk to him about it, would be greatly appreciated. TLDR, I've, 24F, been talking to an ex, 26M, and am considering trying again, but I don't know how to handle my feelings on his sexual encounters/relationships during the time spent apart, which unfortunately were with girls I know.